everybody, it's jrobi. What you are looking on the screen right now is an image that's going to be burned into the mind of Mr. Mamedarov for a long time to come with whatever mental chessboard that he uses to remember games and positions. He had a winning game up until this move from white. In fact, he still had a winning game in this position, but unfortunately he made a big blunder. And I was actually watching the stream when he was playing, and he made this move pretty quick, and Aronian was playing on the board behind him, and Aronian was doing very well today in his win against Draken. And yeah, it was very unfortunate. I was really excited for Mamedarov because he was gonna win today. He was on the verge of winning, and it would have been quite the story for him because like I said, he's lost his first two games in the competition. So, but he came back. He came back really well. And this, if he's able to get a win today, that would have really helped his situation out a lot. He would have been not very far behind the leader. But unfortunately, in this position, Mamedarov made the move, and he made this move very, very quick. King takes rook here on f8. Now, you got to recognize here, if we go back a move, that there is quite an attack on the white king going on here. In fact, you probably realize here that it's not too far away from getting mated. In fact, the only square really saving the king right now in this position is h5. Now, once this rook check is played, the goal ideally would be to cover this h5 square somehow. And the strongest move in this position is to play the king up now to g6. And it doesn't really matter what white does here. Probably the best try for white, according to the analysis here, is to hit the check. Obviously, the bishop can't take because then the mate threat's gone and we can just start promoting, right? So that's not good. But the king can come over here to h6, and now this square on h5 is gone, and there's a lot of danger here for white because the mate's coming quick, unless white can do something about it. The best play for white in this position is just to begin to trade some material off here, at which point black can come in and start taking those pawns that were threatening promotion. And while black eventually will have to sacrifice that bishop to stop the promotion from taking place, the resulting material on the table afterwards, you can tell it's a winning game for black here because we've got a couple more pawns than whites, and we've got a rook pawn ending. So Mamedarov had the game in his hands. Unfortunately, Mamedarov, and he played this move really, really fast, took the rook on f8. I think he maybe thought that his attack on the enemy king was too strong to stop, even with a promotion. Unfortunately, after Kramnik played promotion here, hitting the check on c8, Mamedarov did move his king closer towards protecting that h5 square, but white has a beautiful move in this position, absolutely beautiful move, that shuts down the black attack completely. So go ahead and pause the video, see if you can find it. But it's basically queen to b7. And this one little move here with the newly promoted queen stops black dead in its tracks. First of all, it's attacking the rook on g2. Rook can't hit the check on h2 because it just drops the knight there on g5. So what's black going to do in this position? There is no good choices. What was played in the game was knight check over on f3. Knight just drops, and it's pretty much over from this point. We get to this position on the board here, and that's actually where Mamedarov resigned. But if we play on a little bit here, if you give a guy like Kramnik a queen, he's going to know how to use it, and it's not going to take long for the material just to start peeling off the board here, and white's going to get the win. So the resignation came pretty handedly here when we got to this position here. It was really unfortunate for Mamedarov. Let's just go back. There were so many different possibilities that could have happened. You can really enjoy looking through this and looking at the different lines that result. But there's some dangers in this position here for white as well. That are pretty risky here. If Mamedarov doesn't capture the rook. Let's see if I can just throw one up here on the board. So let's go back and move here. like in this position here, let's say the strongest move was played. There's some risks here for white. Go ahead and ask yourself the following question. If we promote any of these pawns, what does black have at its disposal? First of all, so there's some risks there. I don't think Kramnik would fall for something like that, obviously. But, with best play, let's just say we promote here on c8. Well, it's just checkmate and game over, right? So really there was, he had built up such a nice attack, and I feel really, I feel bad for Mamadar. I think he really deserved to get the win today. His play was awesome, and it was just that one quick mistake that ended it off. Oh, very frustrating for the guy. But you know what? He's still in the running. He's not done yet. And we'll have to see how he performs moving on. Let's take a look at the other two games now. We'll move quickly through them because one of them contains just a bad blunder again. And then we'll take a look at the Aronia game. All right, and here we have the Topalov game. It wasn't a very good game for Topalov today. He didn't play well at all, actually. He was down material for a large part of the game. And yeah, if you take a look at the full PGN in your analysis software, he struggled today. But this was a position pretty close to the end of the game here. And I wanted just to use this as kind of like a question here. So Topalov just pushed his king to g8, and just take a look at the position if you haven't seen the game yet, and try to ask some questions like, are any of your pieces being attacked, or any of your opponent's pieces being attacked? Are there any kind of tactical shots available? If not right now, could you work towards getting a tactical shot? Just things like that, and really assess the position. I'm going to get into what was actually played, though. So after Topalov put his king to g8, we have the following sequence of moves from Andreykin. Andreykin snags up the pawn now on d5. And we're kind of caught in a rock and a hard place here. You can't just come down and take with the rook, obviously. You're just throwing away material, so that's not going to work. The knight is attacking your queen. And check out the relationship between the king and this knight here on e4. Okay, so after knight takes here on d5, Topalov plays queen to f5, and basically defending the knight on e4. Unfortunately, however, we can just take that knight, because once the queen recaptures, fork against the king and the queen drops, and we're pretty much ahead of a lot of material. So for example, after the rook takes, and pawn takes knight, pawn recaptures, there's a full piece of material there. So it wasn't a very good game for Topalov today. Still in the running, obviously. Same kind of situation as Mamadar there, points-wise, I believe. So it's definitely not over. But we're definitely going to get into some attacking chess over the next few rounds. But we'll get to that in a little bit here. Let's take a look at the wave of pawns that was the Aronian game. All right, let's take a look at the Andreykin and Aronian game, and it was pretty exciting actually up until about move 32ish. There it was a pretty equal game. Unfortunately, got a little bit of miscalculations from Andreykin here. So from this position here, Aronian just put the rook on a2. Andreykin decides to play bishop over now to e3, and Aronian plays a very nice knight to a4. Which results from that kind of passive bishop move there to e3. And of course, what this is threatening here, well, it's threatening to fork the queen and the rook, so that's not good. So white has to do something to prevent that from happening. White elects to play rook up now to b3, and Aronian makes a very good decision here. He comes in and he basically says, okay, I want two of your minor pieces for my rook. Andreykin obliges. Aronian comes down with the queen now to d2. And one of the reasons that Aronian did this is because he's got this beautiful queen here, got this nice knight here on a4, and he's behind the enemy pawns. So that's a pretty good combination to have at this in this position. And what basically happens is Aronian sets up his pieces with he gets a check here on c1, plays the knight now to b2, and of course now we're eyeing up this pawn. White can't get enough defenders to the pawn because this pawn perched here on c5. So white goes down a pawn here. Queen comes in, snags up the pawn on c4. I don't know if it would have been better for Andrakin to trade the queens here or not. I probably, because when he moves the queen off to a8, we just have this nice queen check now coming in on h4. And from this position here, Aronian just starts to snag up a little bit of material, and he's going to basically trade down in this position. He's got the pawn advantage by quite a substantial margin. So when he's offered up trades, he takes them, and this was actually where the game ended. And there's absolutely nothing that Andrakin's going to be able to do, especially with the king right there on g6. To prevent this pawn storm from coming down and promoting, so he resigned in that position. But it was a very good fighting game up until about that move 32 or so. So yeah, but we're going to move and transition into some quicker analysis of the games here, more of a tactical overview. Mainly because there's going to be a lot of wins coming up here in the next half of the tournament, because the people that really need to win are going to try really hard, and in the process they might make some mistakes. There's going to be some pretty wild attacking chess in the remaining rounds. So we're probably looking, I'm anticipating at least 3 victories like there was today, each round moving forward. Maybe not. Maybe that's a little bit optimistic for victories, but there's definitely going to be a lot more risky chess play in the remaining rounds. So we're going to move to more of a quicker overview to keep the video short, and just kind of give a general tactical overlay of the event. All right, guys, take care. Thanks for watching the video, and we will see you next round.